I told my mom she can't come to my wedding if she can't accept my dad's wife being there. Now she's turned my family against me. So I, female, 29, got engaged to my boyfriend Ryan, male 30, about 8 months ago. We've been together for 4 years, and he's seriously the most amazing, supportive person. Anyway, that's not really the issue here, though he's been super supportive through all this crap. For background, my parents, Pamela, female, 53, and Charles, male, 55, got divorced when I was 19, so about 10 years ago now. It was super messy. My mom was convinced my dad was having an affair with Laura, female, 46, who is now his wife. Dad always swore they only started dating like a year after he and mom separated, but mom never believed him, and honestly, I don't know who to believe sometimes. They've been married for almost 4 years now. Oh wait, I should probably mention that I'm an only child, which I think makes this whole thing worse because my mom has always been like super focused on me, sometimes in an unhealthy way, to be honest. I guess I should give some context about my childhood too. My mom has always been kind of emotionally all over the place. Super loving one minute, then like really upset the next. She was always pretty possessive of me growing up, like she would get upset if I wanted to spend the night at a friend's house instead of being home with her. My dad was more emotionally distant but stable, if that makes sense. Like he wasn't the type to have heart-to-hearts, but I always knew what to expect from him. I've tried really hard to keep relationships with both of them after the divorce, even though they basically hate each other, which has been exhausting, to be honest. There have been so many awkward family things over the years, like my college graduation, where my mom made these passive-aggressive comments the entire time about my dad, or my 25th birthday when she straight up refused to come because my dad would be there. When Ryan and I got engaged, both my parents seemed really happy for us. My mom immediately started talking about wedding planning and how excited she was to go dress shopping and look at venues and all that. My dad and Laura offered to help pay for the wedding, which was amazing because Ryan and I are still paying off student loans. Why does education have to be so expensive? The first few months of wedding planning were actually going pretty smoothly. I was like weirdly careful to avoid talking about the guest list with my mom though. I knew it was going to be an issue, but I kept putting it off because everything else was going so well. I'm an idiot, I know. So about 2 months ago, I finally brought it up. We were having coffee and going over some flower options, and I carefully mentioned that we needed to figure out the seating chart, and obviously both my dad and Laura would be attending the wedding. The change in her face was immediate, like her smile just dropped. She asked if that woman really needed to be there. She always refers to Laura as that woman, even though they've barely ever spoken to each other. I tried to explain that Laura is my dad's wife and would definitely be at the wedding. My mom got upset and said she was hoping this would be a family-only occasion. I pointed out that Laura is family now, and that's when she slammed her coffee cup down hard. She told me Laura is not family. People at other tables were starting to look at us. I tried to reassure her they'd be seated at different tables and wouldn't have to interact. She just kept shaking her head and I could see tears forming. My mom cries when she's angry, which makes arguments with her so much worse, because then I feel guilty even when I shouldn't. Then she told me I needed to choose between her and Laura. She was dead serious and said she refuses to attend if Laura's there. I spent the next few weeks trying to find some kind of compromise. I suggested having Laura only attend the reception but not the ceremony. I suggested having separate pre-wedding events for each parent. I even suggested having 2 different celebrations. My mom rejected everything. She kept saying stuff like, "I raised you alone while he was building his new life," which isn't even true. They divorced when I was already an adult. I mean, yeah, she was a single mom for a while when my dad traveled for work, but that was way before the divorce. Actually, now that I think about it, she always had this revisionist history thing going on, where she acted like she did everything alone, even when my dad was actually around. Last week I called her after talking with Ryan about possible solutions. As soon as I suggested again that Laura could just attend the reception, my mom interrupted me and said she'd already told me her position. I took a deep breath and told her I couldn't uninvite Laura. That's when she started crying, saying I was choosing that homewrecker over my own mother. I tried to explain this wasn't about choosing sides, but about respecting my dad's marriage. Then she started bringing up all these sacrifices she made during my childhood, like how she missed that promotion because I had the flu that week, or how she drove me to dance classes for years even though it was expensive, which she brings up literally every time we argue about anything. I acknowledged all that stuff, but I stood firm about Laura attending. That's when she said, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me." I finally reached my breaking point. I was just done. I told her if she can't put her feelings aside for one day for my happiness, then don't come. She gasped and hung up on me. I felt sick immediately after. Within hours, my phone was blowing up with text messages from my Aunt Dorothy, female, 51, and two of my cousins asking why I was being so cruel to my mother. The next day, my mom started sending me screenshots of her crying face with captions like, "This is what heartbreak looks like," and screenshots of conversations with my aunt saying stuff like, "I've lost my only daughter," and "She chose that woman over her own mother." Who does that? Like, what adult sends crying selfies to their kid? It's been complete chaos since then. My wedding is 8 weeks away and I'm so stressed I can barely function. I've started having anxiety dreams about the wedding turning into a disaster. Ryan is 100% supportive of my decision, but he's worried about how much this is affecting me. I don't want to give in to manipulation, but at the same time, I keep wondering if I'm being too harsh. Maybe I should just uninvite Laura to keep the peace. My mom raised me, and I love her despite all her issues, but I also don't want to hurt my dad and Laura, who have been nothing but supportive through all this. I mean, if I give in now, what happens with every future holiday, every birthday, if we have kids someday? Will I always have to choose between my mom and my dad plus Laura? I can't live like that, but also I can't handle this guilt. I honestly don't know what to do anymore. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect this to blow up so much. Thank you everyone for your comments and support. To those asking if Laura actually did have an affair with my dad, honestly, I don't know for sure. My dad has always denied it, and the timeline, they started dating a year after the separation, makes his story plausible. But my mom has always been convinced something was going on before they separated. I've tried not to take sides on that because I'll never really know the truth. A lot of people are asking why I don't just cut my mom off completely. It's complicated. Despite everything, she was a good mom in many ways growing up. She was always there for me when I was sick. She came to every school event. She helped me through my first heartbreak, etc. Our relationship only really became difficult after the divorce. Someone asked about my relationship with Laura. We're not super close or anything, but she's always been nice to me. She makes an effort at holidays and birthdays, and she makes my dad happy, which is what matters to me. She's never tried to be a replacement mom or anything, just a friendly presence in my life. To clarify something I think I didn't explain well, my dad and Laura are helping pay for the wedding, which is another reason I feel like I can't just uninvite her. Not just because of the money, though we couldn't afford this wedding without their help, but because it would be so incredibly hurtful to both of them after they've been so supportive. Now for the first update. So a lot has happened since my last post. Like, a lot. First, thank you all so much for the support and advice on my last post. I thought maybe things would calm down after a few days. I'm such an idiot, I know. But it's actually gotten so much worse. The past 3 weeks have been absolute hell. After that initial barrage of crying selfies and screenshots, I tried reaching out to my mom again to see if we could maybe find some middle ground. But she's completely refusing to talk to me directly. Instead, she's sending messages through basically everyone in my family. And I don't just mean the people we actually talk to regularly. I'm talking about relatives I haven't seen in years. Like, I got a call from my mom's cousin, who I literally haven't spoken to since I was like 15, asking why I'm breaking my mother's heart. The craziest part, my maternal grandfather called me last week. We are not close. He's barely been involved in family stuff for like a decade. He and my mom have their own issues. He called asking why I'm tormenting my mother. His exact words. I was so shocked I couldn't even respond at first. But the absolute worst thing, and this is what pushed me over the edge, is that she reached out to Ryan's parents. Like, are you kidding me? Talk about crossing a line. So last week, Ryan's mom, Tracy, called me and was like, "Hey, can we talk about something a little uncomfortable?" My stomach immediately dropped. I was like, oh God, what now? She very gently told me that my mom had sent her this super long email about the whole wedding situation. I asked what exactly my mom said, and Tracy showed me the email on her phone when I went over to their house that night. Guys, my mom told them I had deliberately excluded her from all the wedding planning, that I was letting Laura take over all the mother of the bride duties, that I've been ignoring all her calls and texts when she tries to be involved, She basically made it sound like I've replaced her with Laura for everything wedding related and then randomly uninvited her. The email had all these twisted versions of our conversations. Like, she took things I actually said but completely changed the context. She even included a photo of us at that coffee shop where we had the blow-up, making it look like a happy mother-daughter planning session. It was literally taken minutes before she flipped out about Laura. I was completely horrified. I explained everything to Tracy. About the ultimatum, about how my mom refuses to be in the same building as Laura, about all the manipulation tactics. Tracy was so understanding. She said she had a feeling something was off about my mom's email, thank God, and that she and Ryan's dad totally support me. I broke down crying right there in their kitchen. It was so embarrassing, but also such a relief that they believed me. Tracy even offered to help with any traditional mother of the bride stuff if I wanted. She's seriously the best. Ryan has been amazing through all of this, but I can tell he's getting really angry with my mom. Like, he's always been polite about her issues before, but now he's straight up calling her behavior toxic. He's right, but it's still hard to hear. I had been keeping all this from my dad and Laura because I didn't want to cause more problems, but last week I finally told them everything. Laura immediately offered to skip the wedding to keep the peace, which made me feel terrible. My dad was furious, not at me, but at my mom. He said this is exactly the kind of manipulation she pulled during their marriage and divorce. I told Laura absolutely not. She's definitely coming to the wedding. I realized that if I give in to my mom now, this pattern will never end. Every holiday, every birthday, any future kids' events, it would always be these same issues. Oh, and my cousin Robin told me my mom created a private Facebook group called Supporting Pamela Through Kara's Wedding Betrayal. Like, Robin joined it secretly and has been sending me screenshots. My mom is posting all these sad-looking selfies and completely made-up timelines of events. It's honestly delusional. I decided to meet with my Aunt Dorothy, my mom's sister, in person, hoping I could explain my side directly. When she arrived, she looked super uncomfortable and wouldn't really make eye contact. I thanked her for meeting me and asked what exactly my mom had told her about the situation. Dorothy said my mom is devastated and hasn't been eating or sleeping, which I honestly doubt. I asked if my mom had told her about the ultimatum regarding Laura. Dorothy hesitated and then admitted my mom only said she was uninvited for no reason. I showed her the actual text messages proving my version of events. She looked surprised and then let out this big sigh and said, "This is just like when your parents divorced." Apparently my mom did similar stuff during the divorce, manipulating friends and family to turn against my dad. I mean, I remember some of that, but I was 19 and dealing with my own feelings about the divorce, so I guess I didn't see the full picture. Dorothy seemed torn. I could tell she felt stuck between family loyalty and recognizing my mom's manipulation. I asked if she would help correct the narrative with other family members. She reluctantly agreed, but warned me that people have already taken sides. I've had to take some protective measures because I found out someone called my venue trying to change details of my reservation. The venue coordinator called to confirm that I wanted to change my reception from dinner to just a cocktail hour due to financial difficulty. I was like, what? I never requested that. When I asked who called, she said it was someone claiming to be me, but the caller ID showed my mom's number. I can't even believe she would try to sabotage my actual wedding day. I've password protected all my vendor arrangements now. Ryan's brother Sean is going to be on Pamela patrol at the wedding in case she tries to show up and cause a scene. Yesterday I got this strange package in the mail. It was my childhood teddy bear with a note saying, "Remember who was there for all your tears." I mean, seriously, who does that? It's so manipulative and weird. I keep having these awful dreams where my wedding turns into a complete disaster because of my mom either not being there or showing up and causing a scene. I wake up completely panicked. The weirdest part of all this is that last weekend I was going through some old photos and found all these pictures of me and my mom from when I was little. We looked so happy. It made me start second-guessing myself. Like, am I being too harsh? But then I remember everything she's doing right now, and I know I'm not wrong. I had lunch with my friend Rhonda yesterday, and she told me something that kind of blew my mind. She said my mom always made her uncomfortable with how possessive she was of me, even when we were teenagers. Like, my mom would interrogate her about our plans, or make me feel guilty for hanging out with friends instead of staying home with her. I never really thought about it that way before, but looking back, yeah, that tracks. Anyway, The wedding is in 5 weeks, and I'm trying to stay focused on the positive stuff, but it's really hard. I'm still hoping for some kind of resolution, but also preparing for the worst. I'm sad that my mom probably won't be there, but I'm also determined not to let this situation completely ruin what should be a happy day. Any advice on handling potential wedding day issues would be really appreciated. I'm so scared she's going to show up and make a scene. Edit. A lot of people are asking if I've considered therapy. Yes, I've actually started seeing someone last week. Ryan suggested it after I had a complete breakdown over the venue incident. It's helping a little, but obviously can't fix the immediate situation. To those suggesting I hire security, we're seriously considering it. The venue has their own security staff, but we might bring in an additional person who knows what my mom looks like and can specifically watch for her. Several people have asked why I don't just go no contact with my mom permanently. I've definitely thought about it, especially in the past few weeks. It's complicated though. Despite everything, she's still my mom, and there were good times too. Maybe that makes me weak. I don't know. The therapist says I need to establish firm boundaries either way. Now for the second update. The weeks leading up to the wedding were such a roller coaster. I don't even know where to begin. I guess I'll start with the breaking point that happened about 2 weeks before the wedding. So my cousin Robin called to tell me my mom was telling everyone she was on the verge of collapse from grief and was too heartbroken to eat and might need hospitalization. She was sending these dramatic texts to the whole family about how concerned they should be about her health. But here's the thing. Robin saw my mom at a restaurant that same day, like eating a full meal and laughing with her friends. When Robin mentioned this to me, I wasn't even surprised, honestly. It was just another manipulation tactic. But then something happened that pushed me over the edge completely. 10 days before the wedding, I got a call from our venue coordinator asking to confirm that I wanted to change the reception from dinner to just a cocktail hour due to financial difficulty. I was like, what? I never requested that. When I pressed her about who called, she admitted someone claiming to be me had called, but the caller ID showed my mom's number. Yeah, my mom literally tried to cancel our wedding dinner behind my back. I completely lost it. I was shaking so hard I could barely hold my phone. I immediately called Ryan at work, which I never do, and he came home right away. He found me just like pacing and crying and then getting angry and then crying again. I was done. I sent my mom one final text. I explained I knew about the call to the venue and that she had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. I told her I was blocking her number until after our honeymoon and that if she tried to contact me or sabotage anything else, I would completely cut her out of my life permanently. Ryan suggested we needed to take serious precautions. He was so angry, like I've never seen him that mad. We called every single vendor to add passwords to their accounts. I asked my dad to handle any remaining financial stuff with vendors. Ryan's mom Tracy offered to personally check in with all the vendors the day before as extra security. Then I blocked my mom's number. It was honestly both heartbreaking and weirdly relieving. I felt better afterwards. The craziest thing was how peaceful everything became after I blocked her. The constant stress messages just stopped. I could actually focus on being excited about getting married instead of managing family issues. My Aunt Dorothy and cousin Robin started showing people proof of what my mom had been doing. The ultimatum texts, evidence of the venue sabotage attempt. Gradually, some relatives who had been totally Team Pamela started reaching out to apologize. My Uncle Steve actually called crying to apologize. He was like, I had no idea what was really happening. 3 days before the wedding, I got this hand-delivered letter from my mom. It was 8 pages long. I'm not even exaggerating. It went back and forth between these seemingly heartfelt apologies and then subtle guilt trips and justifications. She wrote that she would respect my decision, but would be sitting alone at home looking at my baby pictures during the wedding. Despite everything, that letter made me cry. Like I said, it's complicated. Ryan sat with me while I cried and gently pointed out all the manipulation tactics she was still using. He was right, but it still hurt. Anyway, the wedding day itself started out amazing. No drama, no signs of my mom, just a perfect ceremony. My dad walked me down the aisle. I was so nervous I almost tripped like 3 times. Laura sat in the front row and honestly seemed genuinely happy for us. Tracy helped me with all the traditional mother of the bride stuff, and Dorothy stepped in for family photos. It was going so well that I started to think maybe, just maybe, we'd actually have a problem-free day. Yeah, I was wrong. So Ryan and I had just finished our first dance as husband and wife. Still feels weird to say that. The father-daughter dance started, and I was dancing with my dad, just enjoying this perfect moment. And then I saw her. My mom was standing in the doorway of the reception hall, wearing this formal black dress, like funeral black, and she was crying. Not like subtle tears, full-on sobbing. My dad noticed her too and whispered, "Don't worry, I'll handle this," and somehow kept dancing with me while discreetly signaling to Sean, Ryan's brother, who was on Pamela patrol. I watched as Sean and Dorothy approached my mom. Sean kind of positioned himself to block her from coming in further, while Dorothy talked to her. My mom dramatically fell into a chair near the entrance and started sobbing even louder. People were definitely noticing. I saw phones coming out. It was becoming exactly the scene I had been dreading. As soon as our dance ended, Ryan was immediately by my side, asking what I wanted to do. Before I could even decide, Dorothy and Sean were already escorting my mom outside. My dad came back over to me and assured me everything was under control. The DJ quickly announced dinner service to redirect everyone's attention. I found out later from Dorothy what happened after they took my mom outside. Apparently, my mom claimed she couldn't bear to miss her only daughter's wedding and just wanted to see her baby girl one last time. When Dorothy pointed out that she had already missed the entire ceremony and was now creating drama at the reception, my mom got super indignant, saying nobody understood a mother's pain. Eventually, Sean called her an Uber, but before she left, she handed Dorothy an envelope for me. Inside was a card saying she came to show her love, even though I broke her heart by choosing Laura over her, and that I'd understand a mother's love when I have children. Like, seriously, who writes that in a wedding card? Despite all that craziness, Ryan and I actually managed to enjoy the rest of our reception. I mean, yeah, there was this weird sadness mixed in with all the happiness, but we were determined not to let her ruin our day. And honestly, once she was gone, it was actually really fun. Our first dance was to Perfect by Ed Sheeran, which I know is super basic, but I don't care. It was perfect. We left for our honeymoon the next morning and deliberately kept our phones off the entire time. It was exactly what we needed after all that stress. When we got back home a week ago, I had like 1,000,000 messages from family members updating me about my mom. Apparently, she's completely changed her narrative again. Now she's telling everyone she graciously stepped aside at the wedding when she saw how happy I was and that it was her gift to me. She's also still showing people screenshots of her crying to Dorothy about losing her only daughter. I've spent the last week thinking about what to do next. Yesterday, I finally sent her a message after unblocking her number. I explained my feelings as clearly as I could and established some firm boundaries for any future relationship. I told her I love her, but I cannot accept manipulation, drama, or disrespect toward my dad and Laura. I laid out some conditions for rebuilding trust, including her getting therapy and showing respectful behavior to all family members. Her response was surprisingly subdued, just a short message saying, "I hear you. I need time to process this." I honestly don't know if that's a good sign or just another tactic, but either way, I feel at peace with my decision to establish these boundaries. While I'm sad about how things played out with my mom, I don't regret standing my ground. Ryan and I are happily settling into married life. Even though we have so many wedding gifts, we still need to unpack. And I'm starting therapy next week to help process my complicated relationship with my mom. I hope someday we can have a healthier relationship, but I now understand that will require firm boundaries and consistent consequences when she tries to manipulate me. Thank you all for helping me realize I wasn't wrong to demand respect for my decisions, even when it meant disappointing my mother.